Welcome back, MMA Mutants. Scribo here with you from mutantville.com. As part of the ongoing format changes here at Mutant TV, we're going to try a few different themes and show ideas, and one is going to be to resurrect MMA Mutants. The plan is to release a video every Tuesday and Thursday discussing the events in the MMA world. I've lost count of how many of these I've recorded because the YouTube gods keep eating them. And I'm mad about it, but what can you do? I'm going to try again here. So I'm going to try to keep it brief because every time I get over a certain time limit, YouTube gobbles it whole and sends it into a black hole, and you guys don't ever get to see this great discussion I'm trying to put out there. So, okay, without further ado, it's Tuesday. Let's talk about what just happened last week. Bellator 123 went head-to-head with UFC Fight Night. Was it 50? 49? I don't know. I forget the numbers. But anyway, it was Mousasi versus Jacare. Bellator seems to be embracing the Cirque du Soleil, anything goes aspect of wrestling and bringing it over to MMA. And you know what? I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I'm not... Even though I've studied martial arts, the majority of my adult life, at least, I'm not one of those guys that started when I was 5 years old or whatever, not a phenom or anything. I'm just an amateur hobbyist, Even though, I believe in honor and respect and discipline and all those things, I understand that when you buy a ticket or a pay-per-view or turn on something like Bellator or UFC on TV, that you're paying to see the spectacle. If you want to see honorable combat, go to your local dojo and watch guys that are, that train together, that are friendly together, just put on pure sporting competition. That's not what people are paying to see. They're paying to see a spectacle. So if Bellator wants to go all out and have masked men in the ring with Stephan Bonner and Tito Ortiz, I'm all for it. Okay. Long story short, I tried to do a complete update about Bjorn Rebney being ousted from Bellator and Scott Coker coming in. YouTube gods ate it. My thoughts, I feel sorry for Rebney. I don't think he got the credit he deserved for making Bellator a viable product and not necessarily competition to the UFC, but at least an alternative to the UFC, which we sorely need. And it had its own identity, the toughest tournament in sports. And I thought that was a very pure way to kind of forge new fighters and make new stars through the crucible, although very few seem to rise up out of it. But because we did have a few that rose up and have gained some prominence, like Michael Chandler or now Will Brooks, I do think it was a viable format. With Scott Coker coming in, there's going to be a move away from that. In a lot of ways, Bellator was kind of trapped by that format where they couldn't make just a good fight without having people go through their tournaments and then win the right to fight their champion. So they were kind of hamstringed by that. Coker's going to throw a lot of that out and just do fun matchmaking. In some cases, there's going to be sad matchmaking, like the upcoming Bellator light heavyweight title defense with Manuel Newton fighting Joey Beltran. That's just sad. Maybe I'll talk about that on Thursday if these videos don't get eaten. But regardless, Coker's brought in Bobby Lashley already, who's the current TNA champ, which, by the way, apparently TNA has no more TV deal, which is understandable because their storyline sucked. I tried to follow them when they first started out. I'll go on a quick tangent. Back in the day, I was down. I loved they gave Raven the title. He had an awesome run of matches there, feud with Sabu, with James Mitchell, and his evil church and all that stuff, and AJ Styles. But TNA writers are horrible, man. I mean, they have no follow through or continuity on anything. Anyway, Bobby Lashley's back in MMA. He's got the skills. His muscles are too big. He's always going to have cardio issues late in the fight. But he does not. He has the wrestling chops, I should say, but he does not have the striking skills, and he does not have submission skills. His submissions are horrible, and they always will be. Hopefully, he dedicates himself to the sport, and he can improve and probably rise up through the ranks of the Bellator heavyweight division. But that's going to be his ceiling. I don't see him ever beating a guy like Vitaly Minakov, who's their current champion, who's a real solid, well-rounded fighter who I think deserves to be ranked probably the bottom of the top 10, if not the top 15, even though he's never fought top guys in the UFC. I mean, he beat Czech Congo quite handily. But anyway, so Lashley definitely has a ceiling. King Mo, talk about another guy that's hit a ceiling. Limitless potential, amazing talent. His ego holds him back, thinks he knows everything, thinks he can do everything. I think he made a mistake training too much professional wrestling and then training with boxing trainers. Although it's smart, you think it's smart in one way. Yeah, I've got a boxing trainer, but the things they teach you in boxing make you vulnerable in kickboxing. They make you vulnerable in grappling. And Mo's got those deficiencies. He does not understand how his striking should blend into grappling. Sorry, guys, I've been sick with a cold all week. You know, his submissions are non-existent. So it is what it is. You know, Mo is not, he's not going anywhere in MMA, not unless he changes. I mean, it's not too late for him to go to a place like AKA, a place where they've really taken pure wrestlers and forged them into solid kickboxers and show them how to mix the two. It's not too late for him, but I think his ego is going to prevent him. So the best we're going to get out of Mo are just a few fun fights. That's it. You know, Manuel Newton is their light heavyweight champ. They can't even get anybody to fight him. Rampage, quote unquote, won their tournament and is supposed to be fighting him. Rampage won't fight him. Mo fought him twice and lost, and now they've got Joey Beltran fighting him. All right, Stephan Bonner comes out to promote his match with Tito Ortiz, brings out a masked man. I was watching this. I'm watching Bellator and UFC side by side, literally, and I'm watching this going, what the heck is going on? And I'm enjoying the promo. I love the circus aspect of it because people are paying for that. Go back to the days of Tex Record, and they're promoting fights with Jack Dempsey, promoting Jack Johnson. You know, there's always a sizzle angle to everything that's going on. You know, Muhammad Ali or time Cassius Clay. Sensationalism is a part of the sport. Yeah, we want to see honor and we want to see study technique and all this kind of stuff. But it is entertainment. That's what people are paying for. If you want to see the just pure, just Budo honorable duels, go to your local dojo. Nobody's paying. Nobody's lining up to watch that stuff, you know. But anyway, I enjoyed the heck out of the Bonner Tito brawl, quote unquote. But when they unmasked Justin McCauley, I was like, who is that? Literally, I have no idea. I've been watching the UFC since day one. I've been watching MMA, you know, everything's come along, whether it's Pride, Pancrase, Shudo, King of the Cage, now Bellator, UFC, WEC, Strikeforce, Elite XC, Pro Elite, the stuff, Cage Rage, you know, everything. I'm like, who is that? I had no idea who it was. So if I didn't know, but probably 95% of the people watching on TV had no idea who it was. I had to read later. It's like, oh, it was Justin McCauley. Okay. Well, that was kind of botched, but at least he stood there in a mask and looked all goofy and everything. So, but anyway, it got people talking. I say, hey, more power to them. If you disagree, let me know in the comments and we'll talk about it. Okay, so there you go. So there are my thoughts on the Bellator, you know, the past weekend. The title fight between Patricky Pitbull Frere and Pat Curran was just fantastic. It was just a solid MMA fight. Everything you'd want to see in a good MMA match. So I really enjoyed it. Now over on the UFC side, Overeem, total complete bust, you know, but I was saying it for years. I thought he never deserved his ranking as a heavyweight. You know, it was obvious he had, you know, he was taking abuse of steroids. He avoided ever defending his title against anybody credible. I think he only ever defended his Strikeforce title once. That was against Brett Rogers after he lost to Fedor. At the time, I protested that he didn't fight Fedor. I mean, it was all nonsense. Verdum lit him up, boxed his face up, and lost a decision to him in the Strikeforce tournament, which was complete and total BS. Then he ducked out of his fight against Bigfoot and went over to the UFC, and you saw the results. Eventually, Bigfoot caught up with him, knocked him out. Eventually, he got knocked out by that bum, Travis Brown. Sorry, Travis, but you're still a green bum. But hopefully, you'll get there. You got the physical skills, but. And then Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell, now he's a seasoned mixed martial artist. Plus, he's big, huge, strong, and had all the ingredients to beat a guy like Overeem, who has the typical bully mentality. If you're smaller than him, man, he wants to knock your head off. If you're bigger than him and take his punch, game over. That's all there is to it. So, in the main event, Jacare Souza took on Gegard Mousasi in a long-awaited rematch and straight up dominated him, sliced through his guard like butter. Beautiful passes, you know, worked submission after submission, then eventually caught him in that guillotine, trapped his defending arm with the leg scissors as he pulled him down into the guillotine, got the tap. I can't wait to see the Jacare Weidman fight. I would all but predict that Belfort is going to end up dropping out of the Weidman fight for whatever reason comes up, breaks a knuckle in training, whatever. I don't know. And they'll put Jacare in. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I still want to see Weidman beat the wheels off of Belfort. It's a shame Belfort doesn't have his TRT anymore, because Weidman still would have beat the wheels off of him. But now he's really going to punish him. But hopefully we'll get to see Jacare jump in there. And even though he didn't fight this past weekend, Rumble Johnson has been making a lot of noise. He wants to fight John Jones. He called out Alexander Gustafsson. Gustafsson's been sitting around saying, well, I'll just wait 3 years to fight Jones in Finland or Sweden. It's like, dude, seriously? Gustafsson actually said Johnson doesn't deserve a fight with me. He hasn't beat anybody in the UFC. Okay, let's back up. Number one, Gustafsson never deserved a fight against John Jones. His most high-profile win was against Shogun Rua coming off a loss. It's like, what? Or did Rua lose? Well, anyway, you know, Rua was severely diminished. So that was his win that got him into title contention. Okay. Johnson comes back to the UFC, punishes Phil Davis. Phil Davis, the guy that beat Alexander Gustafsson. So Gustafsson, if anybody doesn't need to be saying Anthony Johnson doesn't deserve a fight with you, it's you, because Johnson handled the dude that choked you out. So think about that, big boy. And I love the fact that Rumble's calling him out. I love that Rumble's calling out Overeem. Rumble is in beast mode right now. He wants Jones. I think Jones beats him, but I would pick Rumble to beat everybody else. So, hey, what's up with that? Okay, that's it for the Tuesday edition of MMA Mutants with Strebo. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Talk to me in the comments. We'll have more MMA talk. I'll give you a preview of the upcoming weekend's events on Thursday, provided YouTube doesn't eat these videos again. And we'll keep things going from there. Follow me on Twitter at JTMCROBERTS. And, of course, buy our movies over at mutantville.com. Peace.